It is a tense day in the vast Pacific Ocean. Admiral Tamon Yamaguchi paces the bridge of his immense aircraft carrier, the Hiryū. He bears the weighty command of two carriers, the Hiryū and the Sōryū. Alongside the Akagi and Kaga together, the elite task force known as Kidō Butai. This day is crucial. 2 hours prior, $108. Planes were launched to attack Midway Atoll. Yamaguchi's restless pacing is abruptly halted by an urgent message from Admiral Nagumo. The alarm is raised. The Hiryū is under attack by American aircraft, launched from the still operational Midway base. Zeros scramble to savagely intercept the American torpedo bombers, which lack fighter escorts. The Zeros cut through the attackers, and though a few American planes manage to launch their payloads, the Japanese defense holds. The torpedoes narrowly miss the Hiryū and the other carriers. Immediately, the order comes down for a second strike on Midway. Sailors frantically rearmed the planes. 30 minutes into this desperate effort, they've only managed to switch bombs on half the aircraft, leaving the Kidō Butai vulnerable, with hangars dangerously filled with explosives. Yamaguchi receives news confirming his worst fears. American naval presence has been spotted, though the specific type of vessels is unknown. Any naval presence is an immediate threat. Nagumo's order forces a critical dilemma. Precious time has been wasted, leaving the fleet stuck between two strategies. Meanwhile, planes from Midway keep coming. Japanese anti-aircraft guns fire relentlessly, taking down American planes. But the Americans are persistent, and the Hiryū is showered in near misses. Yamaguchi grows increasingly impatient with Nagumo. Why aren't the other carriers launching a Before any action can be taken, the Japanese planes that attacked Midway earlier arrive, demanding immediate landing space. For half an hour, the Kidō Butai carries out the painstaking, time-consuming effort of recovering all the returning planes. Yamaguchi can barely hold his composure, aware of the vulnerability of his fleet. The last plane screeches to a halt just as a massive swarm of American torpedo planes appears over the water. This is different. This isn't the Army Air Force. The American Naval Air Force has found them. The Zeros, still in the air, jump into action, diving down on the slow, vulnerable TBD Devastator torpedo planes. The skill of the Zero pilots is unquestionable. American planes are shot down in scores, but the lead bombers are relentless. They manage to launch their torpedoes. 5 deadly streaks are spotted approaching the starboard side of the Hiryū. Despite her size, the Hiryū swings round, nimble under the skill of her captain. Incredibly, no Japanese ships are hit. The men cheer, but Yamaguchi frowns. He knows it's far from over. At 10:22 a.m., Yamaguchi glances up. What he sees nearly stops his heart. Nearly 50 U.S. Navy SBD Dauntless bombers from 2 different flights appear high above. The Japanese Zero fighters are all engaged down low, seeing off the last torpedo bombers. There are none in place to stop the swarm preparing to dive. Yamaguchi's stomach sinks as he watches the Americans descend. Southwest, 30 bombers dive straight for the Kaga. Her hangar decks, strewn with bombs and torpedoes, are a powder keg. A series of catastrophic explosions rips the Kaga apart. Yamaguchi feels the shockwave, but he doesn't even have time to register the blast before he spins round to see 17 Dauntlesses dive on the Sōryū. She is struck and explodes. Through the flaming sea, Yamaguchi turns to look upon the Akagi, Admiral Nagumo's flagship. Only 3 Dauntlesses dive on her, but the payload is devastating. 1 bomb smashes into the middle of the flight deck, penetrating the lower decks and exploding. Catastrophic secondary explosions follow. The attack is finished. Only Yamaguchi and his ship, the Hiryū, survive. The remaining dive bombers, out of bombs, disengaged, and head for home. Yamaguchi is now in command of the last strike capability of the Kidō Butai. Before we witness Admiral Yamaguchi's desperate vengeful counterattack, please take a moment to hit the like button below. Your support helps us share these crucial, high-stakes, military history stories. If you're gripped by this dramatic naval confrontation, please subscribe and leave a comment sharing your thoughts on Yamaguchi's impossible decision. Gripped by determination, Yamaguchi allows himself a slight smile. It is time for revenge. $24 aircraft launch, led by Lieutenant Michio Kobayashi. En route, the formation encounters a group of U.S. fighters. The Japanese fighter escort peels off to engage, leaving the bombers unprotected. At 11:55 a.m., Kobayashi sights the American fleet, just as 12 American Wildcat fighters rush onto the scene. The Zero escort is left behind. Without escort, the Japanese planes rapidly fall from the sky. A massacre ensuing. Only 10 Vals remain, 2 of which jettison their bombs to maneuver. A desperate Kobayashi spots the carrier USS Yorktown. Despite the casualties, he signals the attack. Anti-aircraft fire snakes toward the Japanese. But their bravery is unquestionable. 3 bombs in succession score direct hits on the Yorktown, crippling her. By the end of the attack, the Hiryū bomber unit is shattered. $13 out of $18 Val shut down. Yamaguchi, now aware he faces 3 American carriers, calls on Lieutenant Gichi Tomonaga, who led the morning strike on Midway. Tomonaga's own plane is deemed unserviceable, leaking fuel. The technicians patch it up, but Tomonaga climbs in solemnly, knowing this is destined to be a one-way mission. An hour into the flight, Tomonaga sights the American task force and orders an attack on what he believes is a second intact carrier. It is, in fact, the already damaged Yorktown. Before he can reach his target, an American Wildcat intercepts. Tomonaga's plane catches alight, but with grim determination, he holds the burning plane level long enough to drop his torpedo. He is shot down and tumbles into the water. His torpedo misses, but the second Japanese force of 5 planes streaks toward the Yorktown. 2 devastating explosions rock the port side. The ship immediately comes to a halt and takes a $23 list. Their work is done. The surviving planes return to the Hiryū. Yamaguchi believes he has disabled a second American carrier and plans a third strike for 6 p.m., but his optimism is shattered. A Japanese scout radios the 2 other American carriers are operating to the northwest. By 9 second, Yamaguchi's worst fears come true. At 5 p.m., $24 American aircraft appear overhead. The Hiryū turns violently, dodging fire, but $14 more dive bombers turn for the carrier. 2 bombs hit the forward flight deck. A final group of 3 drops 2 more, creating a deep crater. The fires burn out of control, and the last strike capability lies blazing in the hangars. At 9:23 p.m., the ship goes dead in the water with Yamaguchi still aboard. At 2:30 a.m., $800 survivors gather around the Admiral in the flickering light of the flaming ship. With deep reverence, they turn to face Tokyo and shout, "Banzai! Banzai!" The national ensign is lowered, and a flourish of bugles rings through the night, playing the national anthem Kimigayo. Yamaguchi sends his final messages to his superiors and Captain Kaku, who chooses to share the fate of the ship despite orders to leave. The Admiral does not protest. At 5:10 a.m., the destroyer Makiguma fires 2 torpedoes, one of which explodes with a roar. The carrier finally sinks at 9:12 a.m. Admiral Tamon Yamaguchi went down with his ship and was posthumously awarded the Order of the Golden Kite, Uno Esate class. Thank you for following this high-stakes, tragic account of the Battle of Midway. If you were captivated by the courage and determination of Admiral Yamaguchi and the Hiryū's final fight, please make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel for more detailed military history narratives, and let us know in the comments. What do you think was Yamaguchi's most admirable decision during this chaotic battle?